A lot of color to your presentations. Excuse me. Oh, let's see. Please forgive me here. All right. And make sure that your pictures are related to the topic. Some of the pieces that you'll add to your PowerPoint deck. Now, you might hear some people, very few people, unless you're in business, call it a deck. But essentially, the number of slides that you have together, those are comprised of a deck. I would encourage everyone as the first thing to go out and utilize a backdrop design. So first pick out a different design for your presentation, and then from there you'll add different components to it, like your title page, your introduction. To get there, all you have to do is click on design, and it gives you all kinds of different designs to choose from. I wouldn't just go with the obligatory white screen, just because it's not as engaging as maybe if you have other designs behind that. Some of the more common ones that you'll always use your title slide, and then there's also a content slide. Typically this is just bullet points, and then you might use a compare and contrast when you use the to content slide here, so maybe pros and cons, so on and so forth. So again, you want to have a title, you want to have an introduction, you want to have your content, those are all the slides in the middle, and then a conclusion which wraps up your presentation, and then also your list of references. Your title page should include things like you'll select your template and then give it a title. It can either be the title of the assignment or maybe something creative that you've come up with. You'll give your name, the course number is always nice, the date that you created it, and the instructor's name is optional as well. So again, we're trying to get across the fact that just like any story that you're telling, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Make sure that your introduction grabs the attention. You should be informing everyone of what you're going to try to get across. You can be dramatic or use humor as long as you can deliver that appropriately. And then in the middle, that's where you want to have your important components that back up your research or whatever it is you're trying to present. You want to limit that information. We talked about that. And then always be aware of time. Now, if you're doing this for a class, you really don't have to be so aware of the time. But, for instance, if you're actually giving a presentation, you want to make sure that you have maybe 1 minute to 2 minutes per slide. All right? That'll keep you from having too many slides or too few slides. And then your conclusion will always summarize and restate the information. Now, here's something that we need to talk about because APA handles the use of images in a different manner. If you are using clip art that is located within your PowerPoint presentation, you shouldn't have to worry about asking permission. Otherwise, typically what you would do is have to go out and gain permission from an outside source in order to use their images. Now, there are places like a public domain where you can get pictures or photographs, and I'm going to go into 2 of them here. So there's public domain pictures where you can go in and conduct a search. Library, we'll just do library. Oh, it's incorrect. Library. And so it'll give us some library pictures we can use. I'll click on books here. And the cool thing is that typically it's giving you a title and it's giving you an author. So you can use the author and the title. You've also got the link here, so you can say retrieved from. This guy's name is Junior Libby, so you do Libby, comma, J, period, and then probably no date, because I don't think there is a copyright date on here anywhere, or any kind of information that would list the date for this particular picture. So again, you've got your title, your author, and then you just tell the type of medium that you were viewing. So let's go back to the presentation. And then also we've got another one, public domain photos. These are two that you probably larger areas for clip art and photos that you'll find out there. So I would rely on those as resources. Now, if you're going to use something that's outside, maybe on the internet, you need to ask permission. And part of the presentation tonight, I want to go through what I have done for a presentation that I use in my class. So. For APA citation, it's the same as a paper. You need you need to include an in-text parenthetical reference as well as references in the citation section. You can keep that information close to the text, and that should be good enough. You also need a reference page, all right, and that's typically your last slide. And it should be formatted like a paper with hanging indents, so you can either write everything out on a Word document, copy it and paste it into your references page, or you can write it out and then go to your second line and just tab over once. That's what I did in my presentation. So at this time, what I do is go into my APA style citation. And this is something I did for a Communications 106 class, where I live in Minnesota, and the assignment for this particular, the particular assignment is finding a vacation spot that you'd like to go to. And as a lark, I chose the Mall of America, someplace that I could visit. Now here's an image I got off the internet, and what I did was I entitled this one, because it didn't have a title, flag, and then no date. All right, you can see that I've got my title up here, and then my information is down here, Jesse Laris, the class, the date, the instructor, so I didn't list any other instructors. And here's my introduction. My introduction is just introducing people to the state of Minnesota. You can see this huge picture here, which I actually got off of clip art, which was in already within PowerPoint. And then over here I have a direct quotation, where this is from a database called Culturegrams. It was listing found, the title of it is Minnesota. It was created in 2013, and you'll see para period 8, and that means that on that particular page I looked 8 paragraphs down, and that's where I got this particular quote from. So here's another background slide that talks about the Mall of America. You can see that I've also got here Minnesota 2013, paragraph 2. This was the second paragraph of that same document from Culturegrams, where I've got information about the Mall of America, how big it is. I took 2 pictures off the internet. One I call facade, the other I call aerial view. You notice that I have ND here, and that's because the pictures didn't have a date when I found them. Up here is a picture that I got from clip art, so I don't have to cite that one either. Here are 2 pictures I got from clip art. I didn't cite either of them. And then over here is some history of the Mall of America, when it opened, so on and so forth. This was taken from an article, probably from Academic Source Elite or something like that. That just gives me a background, the background information. Because it's also a direct quote, I gave it paragraph 6, because all this information comes directly from that particular article. Here's an interesting couple of pictures here. What I did with this is a picture that I found within clip art, but what I did here is I transposed it, I flipped it around, and then I cropped it and enlarged it. So this is actually the picture of this security guard here, but it's just from a different view. You can see how the coloring matches the coloring up here as well. So this was about security area issues, and this was actually an interview that was conducted by the head of security at the Mall of America, a guy by the name of Reynolds. This is the information that he actually, this is a direct quote of his, and what I did was the ads as cited in reference here, because it was Griffin where this this interview took place, and so then it's 2013, and again it's paragraph 8. I didn't put a period at the end here, so that is incorrect. There should be one. Here are a couple of, here's a column chart and a pie chart that I created, another image here, also a table that I copied and pasted from Excel. And here is another table. I believe this is also an Excel document that I put in here. I think that's what it is, if I remember correctly, just of an itinerary. And then I've got 4 pictures here, all from the Mall of America, all with citations. And then lastly, I have my conclusion. At the bottom here, you'll see where it says I'm talking about boundary waters. If you're not familiar with Minnesota, boundary waters are a place in northern Minnesota where people can go to camp, canoe, hike, so on and so forth. So kind of the diametrically opposed to the Mall of America. So, where one's very suburban and the other is extremely rural, so on and so forth. So that's the end of my presentation. If you'll see here, I've got my references. I have a page of just regular references that I have. But then I also have all of the references for the pictures that I got. So what I want to, and there's some other information here, but what I want to point out is the fact that if you go outside of your, to find either outside of public domain websites or out of PowerPoint clip art, what you'll need to do is ask permission to use those particular pictures. So here's what I did. I emailed someone at the Media Center for the Mall of America. I explained who I was, I explained what I wanted to use, the area that I wanted to use them in, and I did get a response back saying, yes, I did, I am able to do that. The individual got back to me probably within 2 days, so it's not automatic, but at least the person got back to me so that I'll know that I could use them appropriately with their permission. So wrapping it up, let's talk a little bit about some of the things we've covered. Your audience dictates your content. They are the ones that are going to determine what you should cover. It's not exactly a paper, but you need to keep those things in mind that you would use in a paper. You need to ask permission if you're going to use any information outside of your outside of clip art, any pictures that you use off the internet. And you're encouraged to use visuals, whether or not they're graphs that you've created or smart art, clip art, so on and so forth. So that actually ends the presentation. If anyone has any questions, we can take those at this time. All right, so if anyone has any questions, they can put those in the search box. I want to thank everybody for coming out to the presentation this evening. It was a great opportunity for me, and I'm glad that I had an opportunity to share this information. At this time, I'm going to stop the recording, and we can answer questions.